What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Tuesday. Gonna have a good show talking about a potential major change on the way for the Titans operation that Brian Callahan is considering, as he's got a lot of heat on him. Saw Teron Davenport was asking a question to I think it was Peter Skronsky, and he was like, your coach is basically on the grill. I thought that was a pretty accurate way to describe the current state for Brian Callahan. So what is this major change that Callahan is considering? We'll discuss that. We'll see what would that signal if Callahan does make this change to the operation, who's going to be doing it. And then we'll talk about job security because Brian Callahan not fired after an 0-3 start. He is 3-17 in his career as a head coach for the Titans. Not fired. He's going to Houston, where you cannot lose if you are a Titans head coach, because Amy Adams-Strunk hates that place and hates that franchise. Well, she doesn't hate Houston. She hates that franchise. So then we'll discuss maybe what Brian Callahan could possibly do to save his job. We'll give our updates and our thoughts on, is his job already done? And it's just a matter of when. So we got a lot of stuff to talk through here, JT. And press conference clips to play from yesterday and press conference clips to play from January, right? We're going to go back in time and play something from January and see how it related to something that happened yesterday. But JT, what's up? We're going to end this show with throwing shade. I hope people can throw shade on things other than the Titans. Like, throwing shade's supposed to be like a first world problem shade and it's supposed to have a comedic twist to it. So let's just throw some shade, not Titans related, at the end of the show. That would be some fun. So JT, what's up? Let's get it going.
Good morning, everybody. Good to see you all here in the chat. What's up, A to Z crew? Good morning, Katie. Good morning, Johnny. Good morning, Darren. Good morning, Eric. Good morning, Andrew. Good morning, John. All good to see you guys here this morning. Yeah, going to be an interesting conversation because my thoughts and outlook on the Tennessee Titans in 2025 is pretty much like the weather in Nashville right now. Gloomy, depressing,
stormy,
dark,
loud,
stormy, everything terrible. Yeah, excited to be on the show today.
Toxic, static, lightning,
a lot of things.
Thunderstruck.
Yeah, I like Swan says, gloomy is the best way I could put it to start off this Tuesday morning. But you know what? It is good to see all of you guys in the chat, whether you share the same outlook, whether you're a little bit more optimistic than me. That I came on here early on in my A to Z career in the morning show and said I am the cautious optimistic, coming on now saying that everything is doom and gloom. Either way, good to see you all this morning. Excited to get into this conversation.
All right, so let's get it going officially. Welcome to the A to Z Sports here live on this Tuesday. I'm Austin Stanley. He is JT Runke. We're powered by BTA Sports. Make you a better sports, better and fantasy football player with that. Download that app. You just got a week left to take advantage of our great September deal. But do go live every weekday morning on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Link to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Got to thank our sponsors. They make it happen for us, and they help out all of you. Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process in Lebanon, WilsonCountyHyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Barton Drury Insurance Group, customized solutions for all of your insurance needs. Botero Carts, with 2 locations to serve you for a new golf cart in Columbia and in Gallatin. And Window Nation, buy 2 windows. You get 2 windows for free. Make no payments for 2 years at windownation.com. So, JT, there was a lot of things to discuss about all of the wild mismanagement from the end of the first half from Sunday's game against the Colts. I do think it's appropriate for us, as we hammered Brian Callahan for the mismanagement of that yesterday morning and in the post-game show from Land Shark Bar and Grill. I think it's appropriate to play the follow-up on the Monday press conference from Brian Callahan to wrap a bow on the end of half versus the Colts debacle that led to the booing of the coach, the players, and the entire front office right before Mike Keith got applause for the Ring of Honor ceremony. But here was Brian Callahan to put a bow on the delay game and the partially blocked 62-yard field goal after a lot of indecisiveness there at the end of the half.
On the sequence at the end of the half, you're talking about, deciding, going back and forth about whether or not to kick or go for it. Who all is kind of involved in that conversation, and just kind of how did it go down in terms of that?
Yeah, I mean, those conversations, just as of before, like I'll keep those in house. Those are proprietary information at the end of the day for us. But there's people involved in it. We got a process that I believe in has been good for us over the course of my time here, and the decision is what it was, and I addressed it after the game. But there's a lot of people that work on that stuff.
What were the analytics kind of saying on that front? What did your team's particular analytics tell you at that point?
Again, I'm not going to go too far into detail on all this stuff, but we made a decision that we made, and it's my decision to make. And had we kicked the field goal and it's good, it's all these conversations go away. So that is what it is.
You and your decision making have been a big story. 2 out of 3 games coming into this season. Mm-hmm. How bad is that for you? That you're not talking about your players, you're addressing things that you decided.
Yeah, I never want any of it to ever be, about me. It's not how I want it to be. It's not how it should be. I don't want it to be about good or bad. It's always supposed to be about our players and what they're doing and what they're doing well and what we got to be better at. But the conversation about me is not one that I want to continue. It's just the reality of where we're at, being 0-3, and every single thing gets magnified, and some things haven't worked out for us in those spots, and they're opened up to criticism, and that's the way it goes in the NFL. And I certainly don't want it to ever be about me.
So there is Brian Callahan, and I see Swan says word of the day, proprietary, and then Vork said proprietary information is going to be the new buzzword, which is a mouthful for buzzwords. Proprietary information, too many syllables on that. But I think overall, the sentiment, I saw C. Rich had a comment that, when your team is losing, every comment a coach makes pisses us off. 100% accurate from C. Rich right there. And I saw another one come in that Chris says, keep covering up for all your buddies is just going to get you fired. And that's kind of where I went with this too, because on Friday, Easton and I did the show of how many swords can Brian Callahan continue to fall on until he bleeds out. And we talked through him falling on swords against the Broncos, against the Rams, and whether it's a player or a coach or a support staff member not holding up their end of their job that makes the head coach look bad. And all we know is that the end result that you can put on the coach. And Brian Callahan is taking that responsibility. Honorable to take the responsibility, right? But at the end of the day, it's going to be him that is going to get the axe for other people's mistakes. He hired them. They're going to get him fired just as well. So I agree with Chris that it feels like, is he falling on a sword here? Because he's not giving up the proprietary information of who all is in his ear. He doesn't want us and all of the chat to blame the 3 or 4 or however many people that are in his ear discussing whether to go for it or kick a field goal on 4th and 1 that took 2 timeouts, led to a delay game. But he is taking it all. So I don't think there's a sword to fall on this one. I think they just messed up. And I think Brian Callahan messed up at the end of the half, different than what happened in Denver and a couple other spots there too. But JT, your overall thoughts before we can put this thing to bed and move forward here.
Yeah, I don't think there's one person that you can fall on the sword. I think it's like falling on the sword from a coaching staff as a whole perspective.
A bed of nails.
I would say just like falling back on that, or like a storm of daggers is another one there.
Oh, wow. Look at you.
There you go. My nerd Dungeons and Dragons brain coming out for you right there. But it is like, if I had to guess, and this is all speculative, like the conversations that they're having is one, like Bones Fossil coming up to, I think that's been a very clear picture that people have been spreading around the internet of Bones being right next to Callahan in his ear on that 4th and 1. If I had to imagine, I can't put words in their mouth, but the conversation is Joey Sly can kick this. Where are we right now? What does the analytics say? What play, if we go for it on 4th, are we going to run that is actually going to work, because they kind of have our number already and are seemingly knowing what we're going to run before we do it anyways so far today. Like, all of those things. I think it is a culmination of this coaching staff and the operations being a failure on that play. But it all ultimately comes down to the one guy who has to make that decision and say, yes, we're going for it. No, send Sly out there. Like, does this all go away, like he said, if Joey Sly makes the kick? I don't know. There's probably questions of why don't you go for it on 4th and 1 still there when you're down like that? Does it go in the opposite direction if they go for it on 4th and 1 and Cam Ward can't find a guy and they can't convert? Like, it's an operational failure on everyone's part, but ultimately it comes back to Brian Callahan because he still just can't make a damn decision. At the end of the day.
I think it's there was a topic from a few comments yesterday that we just didn't have time to get to with Zach and I that I'm glad that I now had it pop in my brain here, because you mentioned like the Joey Sly part of it all, like analytics show that Sly can make this. Whoever it was yesterday saying that Joey Sly's leg is dictating too much the way Brian Callahan is making decisions. And I agree with that. I think it's almost like there's a current obsession with the long ball, with the kicker. It's like, oh, he can make it. Let's try it. How many? I mean, they've tried so many long kicks in Denver. It was like, hey, all we need is like 30 yards from our own 7-yard line, and we can try a field goal at the end of the half. You know why? Because Joey can do it, and it's an altitude. Let's go. And so it's like, why are they? It's almost like so obsessed with the long field goal because Joey did it in warmups. And it's like, why don't you just go? You were down 17-6 against Colts. You're getting your ass kicked. You can't stop them. So how about you just go for points, not like a touchdown? Like, it's 4th and 1. Go do it. Daniel says field goals don't win games. Exactly. And so I think there's too much. Like, stop settling for the 55+ yard field goal and just go for it, because you got nothing else to lose at this point.
Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. Listen, we were in the press box, and I believe it was Corey Curtis who essentially was watching every single like blade of grass being taken and counting down the yards until he started to say, "Ooh, Joey Sly could make this." Like, we were having that conversation.
Joey Sly range.
We're in Joey Sly range at the 50-yard line. So that was quite funny. But yeah, I think it is. I think they were falling back on the idea that, like, we have Joey Sly here, and he has shown us so far. He's proven at every opportunity that he can make it. So why not start to rely on him? And when they started to rely on him like that and probably give him too much benefit of the doubt, that's where Joey Sly hurt them and missed 2 field goals. So I think, and listen, once again, like, the comments, a lot of people in the comments this morning. So it's going to be hard to come back here and look at the one, but I did see one where it's like, we got to give Cam the ball. We got to give Cam a shot there. Like, that's playing into the hypotheticals once again of, like, that's a lot of trust I think you're putting in Cam Ward. Now, did he look better in the second half than he did the first half? Sure, absolutely. But at that point, Cam Ward was not looking very good in that game. I'll say it bluntly. He was at that point, at the end of that half, like,
I mean, they had done some things. Like, they had started to build some momentum. But it's 4th and 1. It's 42 seconds left. The Titans had all 3 timeouts. Sure. I think you had an opportunity to really go threaten. I mean, you could have gotten the 4th and 1, and then with 40-something seconds left, had a couple more timeouts in your pocket and try to see if you can take a shot at the end zone, or at least get to a more reasonable field goal range and not
Yeah.
have the debacle that it was.
And when I say a lot of trust, I mean,
Yeah.
like with the rest of the 40 seconds with 40
Right.
yards to go, right? Like, I think
Sure,
that's,
but
that's
I want to see Cam Ward have that experience, right?
Sure,
I want to see
absolutely.
that scenario play out in real time when it matters. All right. So, what kind of message does that send to your team? Was
very true.
a great question by Tron Davenport. There was a question asked of Brian Callahan if he's willing to make a major change to the Titans operation, and we're going to hear from that here in a second. And we're also going to go back in time to January when Brian Callahan was asked about this major change as well. But first, JT, before we hear these two pieces of audio and video, tell us all about our friends at the Bone and Joint Institute.
Yeah, the Bone and Joint Institute. Don't fumble your recovery. They are the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedics and sports medicine. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to know who to trust. That's why the Bone and Joint Institute is there for you. Located in Franklin with over a dozen specialists who can help you through any type of injury. They have a state-of-the-art rehab facility on campus to help you recover, and that includes everything under one roof for your convenience, whether it's the clinic, the testing, the imaging, the surgery, or the rehab. They've got you covered. To schedule an appointment, go to boneandjointtn.org.
And you guys know BTA Sports, better for bettors, better for fantasy football players. JT and I, we have both already earned our money back, so we're net positive after week 2 of the NFL with BTA Sports. Week 3 was different for me. I don't know about you.
It was bad.
I took a licking in week 3. It sounds like a lot of people did. But anyway, BTA Sports is there to help you out. They have analytics to show you projections on games, on lines, on totals, on player props for fantasy football and betting as well. And you can get a 14-day free trial plus a $99 season pass subscription when you sign up with the link in the description on Facebook and YouTube. And then also the code ATOZ. ATOZ, if you just go download the app today, BTA Sports, or click the link that we have on our Facebook title and our YouTube description on this show, and it'll open. It's really cool. It's a smart link, right? So like if you click it and you have an iPhone, it'll open up in your Apple iPhone store, and then you download the app, boom, done. And you don't have to use the code. Same thing with Google Play and however that works over there with Android. But I don't know that answer. But BTA Sports does. It's a smart link. It'll help you out. So BTA Sports, better for bettors. Use the code ATOZ or hit that link. And you only have 1 week left to use that 14-day free trial and a $99 season pass before we have to switch up the deal there, getting deep into the season. So, all right, let's hear from Brian Callahan yesterday when he was asked about play calling duties and responsibility.
Given some of these miscues and some of the offensive struggles, has there been any consideration into giving over play calling to Bo or Nick or any of those guys?
Yeah, I mean, everything's under evaluation right now at 0-3. Certainly, it's all a part of it. That's players in their roles. That's everything. I mean, we got to find a way to put ourselves in position to win a game. So we're evaluating everything.
Will you give over play calling?
I mean, there's nothing to add to it other than that. Yeah.
Everything is under evaluation. Everything is under evaluation. So that was how Brian Callahan answered are you willing to give up play calling duties at 0-3? Here's how Brian Callahan answered that question at the end of season press conference when the Titans were 3-14 about play calling duties.
Wouldn't call plays at any point?
That I would not. I think I'm humble enough and open enough that if that's a change that need to be made, I would make it. Right now, though, I do feel good about that process. I love calling plays on game day. It's part of where I find a lot of joy in the football process. But, I'm never going to close the door on something if it makes us better. But as of right now, no, I continue to anticipate to see myself calling plays and doing that part of the operation because it is the part that I enjoy quite a bit, and I love game days calling plays. So, but again, if it makes us a better football team and I need to devote my resources elsewhere, I'm always open to those thought processes. So, but right now, no, I don't anticipate that changing.
So I view those as different types of answers because Apple Pie says, in other words, nothing is changing. I don't necessarily think that's the case. JT, what did you think about the January answer of, yeah, I'm open to it. I'm not going to be stubborn and say if this can make us better, let's do it. to yesterday, everything is under evaluation.
Yeah, the one from back in January was the typical Callahan that we know, the optimist, the I'm going to be level with you guys. I'm going to tell you guys, give you guys that truthful like answer that we've come to know him to have in those situations, right? He has been very good at just being open with the media, which I think we appreciate. Um, and that was one where it looked like he was open to change, but ultimately was not going to be giving that up in that section. And then
Yeah,
when you get to
in January, I mean, there's no more games left. You have an off thinking
exactly
about the approach. There's nothing on the line, right? The season's
yeah,
done. You have the number one overall pick.
yeah, and then you go to you go to yesterday, and it really does to me. I think I agree with you that like it does sound like it's an option, and he doesn't like. I think he would have shot that answer down a lot more if he had not had the conversations with someone. Now, who that someone is, who is bringing up the idea of switching it out, I think that's another conversation. Is it Chad? Is it Brinker? Is it Borgonzi? I'd have a hard time believing it was, because if they didn't make the change when they kept him, I don't think they make the change now. I think, who does that come from? Does it come from someone else on the staff?
Yeah.
Either way, it's a conversation we're having right now, and I
Right.
think it's one that honestly we can get into whether it should happen or not. But I think it is absolutely on the table now.
So, Caps had a comment when we were talking about falling on swords. Just because he isn't sharing who messed up to the media doesn't mean he isn't saying the same thing to Amy and Brinker and Borgonzi, right? And Callahan said yesterday that he's had his regular meetings every week, every Monday. There is a meeting that he has with the Titans ownership and organizational leadership before the press conference that he has with the media. So we do, like, I said the same thing about, falling on swords. Like if Brian Callahan falls on a sword in a press conference with the media and covers up a player's mistake, the locker room knows that. The locker room respects that. And that's what we talked about through yesterday or through last week. But at some point, the public perception is the reality, and the public will give up on him. And you have to do what is now, there's no turning back. It's the point of no return overall for that. So let's go ahead and ask this question here, because I do find this play calling situation interesting to discuss. Because Brian Callahan said that everything is open to evaluation, everything is under evaluation. You are 0-3. So whether it's his play calling duties or player roles or other coaching staff roles, everything is under evaluation. So the question, what would it signal if Brian Callahan gave up Titans offensive play calling duties? Opening the question, curious to see what you guys think. What would that signal? What would that signal to you guys? So we'll get to all that, but first we'll tell you guys about Barton Drury Insurance Group. Customized solutions for all of your insurance needs. BartonDrury.com is the website. These guys are phenomenal. Great team. Their leadership team is on the forefront of building out how you have customer care, how we get taken care of with our workers' comp policy, our employee benefits, and much more. They're great if you have your personal benefits through them and health coverage, which I do through our employee benefits as well. Barton Drury Insurance Group, really good at how their support staff helps out, makes things easy, helps dumb things down for me to make me understand insurance policies and not have to worry about all the legalese and looking words up so I know what it says. Barton Drury helps me out. They can help you out as well, whether you need home, rental, auto, bundle, whether you need a workers' comp, whether you need employee benefits, 401k planning. They have so many different ways they can help you out. Umbrella policies as well at BartonDrury.com. And we're closing in on this too. If you give Barton Drury Insurance a call, it's the phone number right there, 615-806-1265. If you call them and tell them you heard them on A to Z and you say, can you help me find how to save some money on my policies, you'll be entered to win a Titans jersey of your choice via A to Z Sports. So you got about a week to do that. So 615-806-1265, 615-806-1265. Say, hey, heard about you on A to Z Sports. Can you help me save money on my insurance policies? And then boom, you're entered to win a jersey from us at A to Z. So simple as that, bartondrury.com.
Yeah, we are also brought to you by BTA Sports. BTA is better for bettors. Like Austin said, you got about a week to sign up and take advantage of this offer. Use code A to Z when you download the BTA Sports app to get a full season pass for $99 plus a 14-day free trial. Look at that. Like you download it today, you have this week in September, and then you get another week in October to try it out. And then if you're making money like we are, great. You probably will make back your money then. But once again, that's why they have the free trial. It's only available in September. So you have 7 days to get on that and use this opportunity. Use the link in the show description or right below the title on Facebook to make that process easier. Smarter bets start here with BTA Sports.
All right, JT, we've asked the question to the chat. I will send you to the chat here. Is what would it signal if Brian Callahan gave up Titans offensive play calling duties after when asked by Nick Suss of the Tennessean yesterday? Callahan said everything is under evaluation, and so I mean the idea is out there. Like, it is a possibility, right? So is this major change looming? What would it signal to the fans and to the audience here today? What are you seeing in the chat?
Well, I think Matthew brings up a very important question. He says, if we change play callers, does it magically make people able to catch? I don't know.
Good point.
It's a great point right there.
And we will talk about Calvin Ridley maybe tomorrow, because that is a topic on our list of topics that we are wanting to get to this week, but there's just a lot of stuff to talk about.
Luke says it would signal that he wants to focus more on game management. Troy says that it would signal the end is near for Callahan. Cause says it would show that he's listening to the fan base, which I don't think he ever should.
Wes also signals that either.
Wes says it signals that he's giving up. Ray School says it signals that the end of his tenure is very close. Mike also believes that it signals that he knows the end is near. Darius says it signals that he's overwhelmed being a head coach. Jeff just says it'll signal less screens, which probably not. I don't think that would change. Swan says it would signal a new level of bad coaching.
So the Swan think that Callahan should keep play calling duties?
I mean,
I don't know.
I think what he's trying to say is like it signals something that he already knows, and he's just kind of admitting defeat in that way. Like it's just we're getting to another level of bad coaching. Ira Hoshi says it would signal that they will eventually move on from him. Cap says it would signal that he's overwhelmed. Corey says it would signal that, or it would mean he is actually using his brain for once, which, all right. Nas number 9 says it would signal growth. Randy says it would signal that he'll do anything to try and win. Jeffrey says it would signal that they want to keep Callahan for some reason, that he hasn't given up, that he wants to win. It would signal that he needs to focus on the overall team. And then Daniel kind of dives deeper and says, depends who he gives it to, which I think is also fair.
We'll follow up with that too. So my answer to this, JT, and then I'll let you go, is that it shows that Callahan understands the pressure on the next several games, right? That when you're a head coach, you have a couple cards you can play to extend your life, right? Like sometimes, like a rookie quarterback is, hey, that's a card. Hey, rookie quarterback. We're learning, right? We're learning on the fly, learning in real time. We're learning. That's a card you can play to extend your life. Then you can have the injury card, right? Boom. That's something you can play, like Zach Taylor got it with Joe Burrow's rookie year too, that Brian Callahan saw. Then there's this, I'm giving up play calling duties. I need to focus on the head coaching CEO job more, and we're going to see if this helps our game day operation. And so I think it's that he is taking the heat seriously and the responsibility seriously. So I think it's a good thing that he's opening this up, because he did say in January that if it makes them a better football team to do that, then it's a smart thing to do, right? Like, there are things that Zach and I have given up in this company to other people that we love doing because we need to do other things for the company. Zach doesn't do this show very often at all. He would love to do it more, but the company needs him doing other things. I would love to write articles. That's what I went to college for. I got a broadcast journalism degree. I haven't written an article in 5 years, right? But because I have other things I got to do, right? So it's, how do you give up something for the greater good of the operation? And so that's what I think this signals. Is he going to do it? I don't think he's going to do it right now. Jeff says it's actually not a bad idea. I don't think it's a bad idea either, because what are we talking about? The two biggest mistakes that Brian Callahan has made this year that we've spent a lot of time on are the not reviewing the elbow for Alec Manor and the end of half sequence. Those are all things. You did not mute yourself. I think you tried to. But you did not mute
Okay,
yourself.
good.
But those are both things that he was distracted by the next play call instead of the head coaching decision, right?
Yeah, I think that is absolutely where it is. I think, well, as I sat in the press box and watched that game mercifully come to a close, I was like thinking to myself, does it even matter if he gets fired? Like, what's the alternative? Short answer, in my opinion, there's no real alternative. Like, what could they do to change this? And I came back to the idea that it probably is play calling. And listen, I think whether he's good at it, he's not good at it, I think Brian Callahan works very, very hard day in and day out throughout the week to get his guys ready from a scheme perspective, from trying to get his guys ready with watching film, with doing that. I think, I'm not going to say he's good at it. I'm not going to say he's bad at it. I think he works very, very hard to get his guys ready. Whether they are or not, that's another conversation. But when it comes down to it, like, I think at this point, not only does it, I think it signals the beginning of the end for him if he does give up play calling, because you've seen this scenario before, very close to home in the division with Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence. The flip-flopping of play calling back and forth in that organization for Trevor Lawrence, and saw how that went. You saw it with Frank Reich in Bryce Young's rookie year. All of those things. Like, when I
did see somebody pointed out that Nick Sirianni gave it up in Philadelphia and it worked out very well. Like, it was the opposite.
Well,
here
correct,
it is.
because
Chris Sirianni gave up play calling and won a Super Bowl and got a contract extension.
Yeah, he gave it up to Shane Steichen, and then the coach of the
he took it back,
Saints, and then took it back,
and then he gave Kellen Moore, right?
Kellen Moore, yeah.
And now whoever their next OC in line is
having some trouble.
Yeah, but Nick Sirianni's still not doing it though. I think that's the thing, is like, he gave it up, then he took it back, and then he gave it back up again, and he hasn't taken it back again.
Yeah.
So, like,
I guess there is some precedent for that, although I would argue that the Eagles, in the talent that they have, is much better than what the Jaguars had, and what the Panthers had, and what the Titans now have. And then also on that side, like, you then get into the conversation, which I think Daniel brought up earlier, like, who do you give it up to? I don't think there's a
I have three options.
Three options. We'll hear those in a second, but I might argue that none of them are better than what we have right now. But I do think that, like, yeah, it signals the end of the beginning of the end for Brian Callahan, but also I do think that it does show that this team still wants to try to win and make progress this year. And I think that those are the type of things, like you said, the mismanagement of end of half drives, the not getting the challenge flag out, those types of things are things he can probably look to be better at when he doesn't have the play calls. There were many times, I think, as the defense, I found myself trying to look at Brian Callahan when the defense had to go back out there to play against the Colts on Sunday. And yeah, I mean, it's clear as day that when the defense gets back out there, Brian Callahan is 15, 20 yards down on the opposite side of the field with his head in an iPad or a Surface. Like those are things that right now you can't really have for your team. And like, it's a lose-lose situation. And I think play calling is the only, if you're not going to keep it and just continue to bang your head against the wall and see if it gets better, like it's the only option outside of firing him that moves you in the other direction.
Yeah. Because like, I think we all have to understand, like the scheme isn't broken. The scheme is not broken. The scheme is creating open receivers and open pass catchers.
It takes a lot of things that the scheme needs everything to work. Like everything.
No, there's such a small margin of error here. Like,
yes.
right. Because like, I'm a topic I'm sure we'll get into later in the week, along with Ridley dropping the football and he needs to make a damn play. Because Appleish, here's the low hanging fruit that frustrates me is that what scheme? Guys, like there are open people all over the place. Go watch the sideline all 22 of the pick six. It was a 3rd and 8, I think. He had an open Ellikai Manor over the middle that he should have just thrown the ball to.
Mm-hmm.
And what he got in the first down? It was in front of the sticks. But I mean, Ellick's a big, strong guy. Maybe he can fight for extra yards, but at the worst case scenario, you punt on 4th and 3. Instead of a pick 6 the other way, you're down 7. So, like, there are plenty of open guys. All the drops that you guys are also complaining about are open receivers that are dropping the football. Calvin Ridley has to catch the football. They, as a group, Cam Ward, Calvin, DK, and Chig, have to figure out how to complete the seam. The seam ball is there. It is open. Yet, they can't quite figure out they got 90% of it. The last 10% is the completion of the pass. And whether it's Cam's throwing the ball to line drive, too high and hot, not enough touch on it, not enough behind him and two in front of him, or if the guys aren't bending the seam just a little bit more, like they're 90% there to big plays down the seam, like 4 or 5 different times. So the scheme is working. The offensive line has only allowed 1 sack of the 15 sacks. Only 1 sack has been under 3 seconds.
Yes. There's a lot of questions here in the chat. It's like, where was it? I'm trying to find it. There's so many here this morning, but like, where are these wide open receivers? Why isn't Cam getting rid of the ball? Cam is getting rushed. Cam is not necessarily being rushed by his tackles, especially in that Colts game. Like it's not only just the play calling that in the operation of it, but like all these parts need to work together for this scheme to work. And I think the catches, like catching the ball is important. And Cam not holding onto the ball, but those are things that happen when you're a rookie quarterback, and it's understandable and it's frustrating. So like I'm about to list, because like if we were to ask a question, what's the biggest reason why the Titans offense is struggling? You can't. There's not like a one thing. Last year, the right tackle was a turnstile, and the quarterback was a turnover machine. Right? Those were the 2 things. This year, it's Cam's a rookie and played 3 games. That's fine. We understand that. That's that. It's penalties that are setting you back, pre-snap penalties or procedure penalties that are setting you back behind the sticks. It's drop passes. It's Cam being late or missing open receivers or hunting too much. It is what else could be there? It's just missing by a hair. It's the play call getting in too late. All of these things are going into, or like equal parts the problem. If there are like 5 parts that are the problem, they all share 20% of the reason why. And
sometimes you get 80% of it to work and the 120% leads to a bad play. So there is not a single issue or one or two issues like in the past. It is everybody is messing up at different times.
Mm-hmm.
Lloyd Cushenberry is good most of the time.
Yes.
And then there's like 3 plays a game that he's not very good and Cam gets sacked.
Yes.
So it's just all over the place. So again, there is a scheme. The scheme is working most of the time, but then it's the other 11 players in the field where it might fail with execution by 1 or 2 guys.
Yeah, and I think once again, you're going to see the growth, and you're going to see things start, at least on the Cam side of things. I think another crack at it is going to get him in a better place. I think he learned a lot in this game. Maybe didn't look better and didn't look better on this, like from a tape perspective, but I think he learned a lot. He's learning about creating his own sacks versus the offensive line creating the sacks for him. He's learning about how he needs to place the ball in the NFL. He's learning about all of these different things, the timing, the when to pull the trigger, how long he's holding on to the ball, those types of things. I think he's learning on the fly, and I think he's going to get better at with every game he gets into. The thing that we come back to, right, is that Brian Callahan is currently, with having to call the plays and then also do all the other head coaching duty things, is not giving Cam Ward the time to succeed and to I guess, not giving him as many opportunities to maybe have those learning experiences and do those things. And that's the conversation that we are having right now with Brian Callahan, right? Yeah. If he gives up those play calling things, does that give Cam Ward more opportunities and see this whole operation get better in a hurry?
Yeah, for sure. So I saw a couple comments, and then I'll get to the poll that I put up on YouTube. Because when we went through all those things, and somebody was just like, well, so bad football team. Yes, basically. Yes. You're saying the team's bad. Exactly. Then there was another comment that I thought was really good. It kind of puts this from Mike Peck. The team is bad, and it gets even harder to overcome the level of talent when your head coach is making mistakes he should be making. Mm-hmm. Boom. That is exactly it. And so why is the head coach making these mistakes? Because last year, and in Section 240 said this earlier, so what's up, Bonafide Bro, in the chat here? He said, Brian Callahan is making year 1 mistakes in year 2. So this comment, along with Mike Peck's comment, is making me think and just realize that Will Levis being so bad kind of stunted Brian Callahan from figuring out some of these things in year 1. Because Brian Callahan is making year 1 problems in year 2, 100% correct. And you can't overcome a bad roster with a head coach getting in the way. The head coach is supposed to at least, be a net even and not just be a negative. You want to be a positive, right? But I'm saying at the very least, don't be a detriment. And he's being a detriment to the roster because he's messing up game management situations. And so that's where I think playing the card of giving up the play calling duties should be on the table. And as Callahan said, everything is under evaluation.
Yeah, I think you are right. I'm not on the same side of it. Or on the opposite side. It is still things like Will Levis in his operation is not affecting Brian Callahan's ability to make a decision to challenge an Alec Iomanor elbow. It's not affecting. Yeah. It's not affecting the decision to when you're on 4th and 1 and between that and a 64-yarder.
I would say it covered it up. Let me rephrase it. I'm not saying it stunted it. It covered up.
Absolutely.
Will Levis
we weren't able to see these blunders because they were never going to happen because he just he did not give him the opportunity. Now that you're here, you're seeing those, but also if you want to say that, fine. It has to stop now though. Has to.
Yeah, absolutely. Right,
let's say that the three games at the beginning of the season, okay, that was your year one crash course. Now you got to stop. Now you got to go, and you got to actually do things, right? And like,
Yeah.
I at this point, like, I do think in Chig Okonkwo said this yesterday in his availability, and maybe we'll talk about it a little bit later, but like, they have to play with a desperate mindset. And I think that is from the players to the coaches. Like, Brian Callahan's got to coach with a desperate mindset that, like, he needs to be aggressive. He needs to give Cam the opportunities he needs. He needs to just make a damn decision. Like I said, like, at this point, we're not faulting you for making a decision. I think a lot of the conversation about the 4th and 1 decision was amplified by the fact that you have 2 timeouts and then take a delay of game that probably hurts. Like, and then when you make that decision to go for the field goal, it hurts Joey Sly. It hurts everything. Like, just make a decision, man. Yeah, and I think that's that's the urgency that Brian Callahan now has to bring to his job, not just preach to his players.
Yeah. Look, so now we've got Brian Callahan YouTube account is open for work. So now we've got this. I'm ready. Just gave me Mayo brain, man, to work with year one. And then, of course, we've got Cam Ward in here as well. He says, meet me after work, responding to Brian. So, look, we've reached the point to where now there are parody YouTube profiles. And Elk says, shocker, Austin covering for Callahan. I'm not covering for Callahan. I'm not. I'm trying to analyze the situation here. See, like, that's what I have.
Austin,
like, we have shows to do.
Nuance is dead. Nothing is allowed to be gray anymore. It's all black and white.
Earlier was like, they've scored 3 touchdowns in 3 games. That's terrible. Yeah, Darren, it's terrible. We all know that, but you can't just sit up here and say that and expect you guys to have a show here and have a discussion. It's what's going on. Brian Callahan's shortcomings were covered up by Will Levis's even louder shortcomings last year.
Yeah.
So now the focus is on Brian Callahan's mismanagement as a head football coach. Should he give up play calling duties? I say, if he's not going to right now, then it needs to be somewhat soon because he's got that card to play. Now, I don't know who's going to take it on and if it's going to be better or worse. I have no idea, but that's kind of the situation. So,
yeah. And like, I don't know what's the conversation next week. If like, this is could this also just be like a wake up call? Like, it's time to put like everything on the table and we go like, just like they did last year against Houston, they go into Houston and have an explosive offensive game as well. Like I think that could also happen. And now we're kind of in that scenario where the first 3 weeks were prove it, and he does, and we feel a lot better about everything. But I do think that it's going to come with a sense of urgency. It's going to come with a little bit of desperation for him, because I do think to wrap that up, like, and we can get to the poll here as well, that if the play calling does end up changing over, it kind of signals the beginning of the end, because what was Brian Callahan kind of brought in to do? Like, call plays and run the offense efficiently. And currently, like, if he has to give that up, is Brian Callahan that good of a coach that like the decision making is now what he's in charge of? Like, can he do that? Like, that's not what he's known for. He's known for running the offense.
But he wasn't a play caller before.
Absolutely.
So he was a football coach, right? So like, it's not like you hired Sean McVay, who was a great play caller, to head coach the Rams, right? Josh Heupel was a great play caller as a head coach. He's not going to give that up right now. He might. There's some rumors about that with Tennessee stuff. But like, if you're a proven good play caller as a coordinator, then you're hired because of that as a head coach. But that's not what Brian Callahan was as a head coach. He was sought after as a really good head coaching candidate, and that's turned out to not be the case. And so, Chris says Cam is a better quarterback and they're still 0-3. Okay. Yeah. Because this year is completely different last year. Like, this team,
like, listen, Cam is a better quarterback. He's not playing like it. Like, he's played 3 games.
Yeah. Like, Will Levis was playing game like 9, 10, 11 or 8, something like that in his career. He had won a couple games. He had done some things. They had a lesser opponents in weeks 1 through 3 last year than this. Now, they've still been sacked 15 times in the first 3 weeks. So there's a lot of stuff. So let's get to the poll here overall, because I asked the question on YouTube in the poll. If Brian Callahan gives up play calling, who needs to take it over? I gave 3 options: OC Nick Holtz, QB coach Bo Hardegree, and senior offensive assistant Mike McCoy. So we'll get to those results here in a second, and JT, I'll get your thoughts on that as well. But first, let's talk about Window Nation. How about this? I got my new windows on Friday, JT. New windows coming to the Stanley household in about 6 to 8 weeks, and can't be more excited about that, because our current windows, the builder grade windows that came with this house when we moved in 2 years ago, are doing nothing but conducting heat. So when it's hot outside, it's hot inside, because these windows and the new windows from Window Nation are going to only allow, how about this? This is crazy. They do this for the free estimate, a little science experiment. The windows I currently have allow 60 to 70% of the heat inside the window. The new windows I'm about to get from Window Nation, 2% of that heat in the window. So it's going to be great. It's going to lower our bills for both heat and AC. And we're going to earn that back over the years and the life of these windows. We've got free broken glass replacement as well. And they made it so easy. It's a buy 2 window, get 2 windows free. No payments necessary for at least 2 years. There's a ton of different financing options for you as well. Buy 2 windows, get 2 windows free. WindowNation.com. September. WindowNation.com. Guess what? An extra 10% off of buy 2, get 2 free, plus another 10% off. They're making the last week of the deal even sweeter. So buy 2 windows, get 2 windows free, then an extra 10% off at WindowNation.com. WindowNation.com.
Yes, the A to Z September of deals comes to an end here. Gotta once again tell you, BTA Sports, better for betters. Use code ATOZ when you download the BTA Sports app to get the full season pass for $99 plus a 14-day free trial. It's only available for 7 more days, so use the link in the show description or right below that Facebook title. You can predict the unpredictable, or you can have a chance to with BTA Sports.
All right, so JT, I do have a pull up. I want to ask you the question before I tell you the results, because I want to know your unbiased or your unchanged opinion.
Okay.
Who should take over play calling duties if Brian Callahan does in fact give them up?
So my answer is that whoever I say is like not it's not a great answer. Like I think any answer is not a good one, because if you go through the options, Nick Holtz would be doing it for the first time. Mm-hmm. So you're going from a first-time play caller to a new first-time play caller who is above in the booth. So like, maybe does that change things around? I don't know. You could go to Bo Hardegree, who did it for a time in Las Vegas, which didn't look very good. Right? An interim situation, and it did not look much better. And then you have Mike McCoy, who has been around, done some things. He's done it. Does that look any better? I don't know. I think logically it has to go to Nick Holtz, because if it doesn't, like, what exactly is his job then? Like, how bad of a look is that for your team?
Yeah,
it's the same. But like, also, if you're giving play calling over to not your offensive coordinator for the second time, like, what does that show? What is the public reaction to that? It's not a good look. If you give it over to, like, I think it is Nick Holtz or it's Mike McCoy. I think, because I think the importance of Bo Hardegree being on the field, being able to sit by Cam after drives, is way more important than him having to call plays. So you either give it to Nick Holtz or you give it to Mike McCoy, because taking Bo Hardegree out of what he does now, which is being able to come off the field or have Cam come off the field and sit right next to him and be able to go over those plays on the surface or whatever, and have that right away, that instant feedback in what he needs to do better next time, is way more important than having Bo Hardegree have play calling duty.
Yep, I agree on that.
Because Mike McCoy's not going to go down there and sit with Cam. Brian Callahan certainly cannot, if he gets rid of play calling, go sit with Cam. Someone has to sit with Cam still, and that's Bo's job.
Totally, and I think Cam Ward has a good relationship with Brian Callahan, Nick Holtz, and Bo Hardegree.
Mm-hmm.
He mentions those guys by name all the time. Cam does. So I think it either is. I agree. It cannot be Bo Hardegree for exactly what you just said. People are hating on Nick Holtz because they don't know what he does. They don't know. They think he's
just a guy,
a buddy hire. Which
guy.
I mean, it's hard to argue that he wasn't a buddy hire because who else was going to hire Nick Holtz as an offensive coordinator in the NFL? Nobody besides Brian Callahan. But he does have play. He doesn't have play calling experience, but he was an offensive coordinator in college. He was a pass game coordinator and co-offensive coordinator in the NFL in 2 different spots with the Raiders and with the Jags. So he does have that experience. And I do think a play caller in the booth is a good way to go to remove some of the emotion and the heat of the moment of the sideline and just kind of like zoom out like you're playing a video game, right? Make a more controlled decision when you're up top and not in all the heat of the moment, hearing all the stuff back and forth and having players in your ear, throw me the ball, all this things that naturally happen on the sideline. Then there's Mike McCoy. And what I don't know, and maybe this is a question for Easton to ask this week, is what is Mike McCoy's game day role?
Mm-hmm.
Because he has a vague title hired this spring as a senior offensive assistant. He's a former head coach. He's a former offensive coordinator, former quarterback coach. He's a good person that was available to bring in. But what is his game day role? And I think because the goal of changing play calling duties is for Brian Callahan to simplify things from the head coaching job. What you don't want to do is shuffle too many cards or chairs on the deck to where now you're still overloading somebody.
And in an operation that still just can't do things correctly.
Right.
So.
You're trying to find a solution to make it more streamlined and easier and simpler. So I think Mike McCoy is a decent option because this is just a flat out guess. I believe Mike McCoy has the least amount of game day responsibility when compared to Nick Holtz and Bo Hardegree.
Yes. And yeah, I think it is Nick Holtz. Like it's not the only option, but it kind of is the only option because we are so magnified on picking apart every part of the operation right now that especially like us as the media, the fan base as well, if you don't give him Nick Holtz play calling opportunities, like that makes the whole situation 10 times worse.
It's just a bad perception.
It's bad look. Absolutely. But like, then again, it's bad look versus experience, right? Because giving it to Nick Holtz saves you from looking bad, but you may be in the same exact situation once again, because it's a first-time play caller in the NFL. Giving it to Mike McCoy has some experience, but it's a terrible look because what does your offensive coordinator do at all then if he's not the next in the chain of command in terms of play calling?
Yeah. Okay, so you want to hear the poll results?
Yeah, let me hear it.
43% Mike McCoy. 30% Bo Hardegree. 27% Nick Holtz.
That's crazy. I think a little bit.
I just think the Titans fan base has a disdain for Nick Holtz because they don't know what he does.
Yeah.
And they think he's worthless.
I do want to ask the 30%, like if you give Bo Hardegree play calling opportunities, your trade-off is you're giving Bo Hardegree the opportunity to call plays while hurting. Like objectively, if you give Bo Hardegree the play calling duties, you're hurting Cam Ward's development. So I want fans to know that.
So I just made my vote.
You sign up. So
I made my vote, and JT, you solidified my opinion of it being Nick Holtz being the correct answer. Because here is another caveat to this. Because also the reason why Brian Callahan's giving them up is to be a better head coach. And Mike McCoy could be one of those other people that can help Brian Callahan be a better head coach in game.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think to end the conversation a little bit on that is like, I don't think it actually happens this week. It would take yet another week.
I agree.
But like, I think you have to see Holtz, because Mike McCoy, once again, I think he does a lot more. And if you give it to Mike McCoy, like, if you were to give it to Nick Holtz, there's no possible conceivable notion that Brian Callahan is still not on that headset talking back and forth to Nick Holtz about what he wants to run. Right?
Yeah, no, I mean, Mike Vrabel, a defensive-minded head coach, is still involved in offensive play calling.
Absolutely.
Right? Everything runs through the head coach.
Right. If you give it to Mike McCoy, though, then you have Mike McCoy calling plays with input, like with big input from both Nick Holtz and then Brian Callahan as well. Like, I think that is then overloading that guy who may be doing other things for this team right now in terms of offensive outlook and things like that. I think you'd be dumping a lot more on that guy's plate than he needs to, and it may become too much at that point.
Yeah. Rayskull says, if Mike McCoy wasn't already trying to help Callahan be a better head coach, then what was he doing? That's a bad take, Austin. Like, again, I was saying, nobody knows what his game day role is. I mentioned that. I assume that he's a senior offensive assistant. That gives you zero clarity on what a game day role could be for Mike McCoy.
And I'll just say this as well. Like, what is he doing? I don't think the one thing that is going well for this team in terms of game day, the team is bad right now. The operations and the coaching staff is also bad right now. They are both bad. But the one thing that's going good, the only guy I think you can objectively say is doing a really good job on the sideline or in the booth or from a game day operation, it's Bones Fossil. Bones Fossil is the only guy out there that is absolutely crushing it right now.
Yep. The K-ball couldn't get in fast enough.
Well, never mind. Yeah. So you are totally right. Maybe there just is nothing going on right now that is going well for this team. But I think outside of that, Bones Fossil is the only guy that is been nails for a decent part of it. And does the K-ball even matter if Brian Callahan just sucks it up, makes a decision right there, then and there?
I heard Brett Kern was on with Buck on the Zone yesterday and said the K-ball makes at least easily a 10-yard difference. So when you're attempting a 57-yard field goal, you need the K-ball.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. I think it's just
Connor
so
says
bad
the K-ball
right
isn't on Bones. Again, that's the weird thing, because this is Brian Callahan was asked about it, because he said post game the operation needs to be quicker, and then yesterday was what operation? The referee operation? He said our operation. That was another attempt of falling on a sword, I believe.
I was confused by that. I was pretty understanding of what he meant by the operation. I think it was
just asking for clarity, right?
Yeah,
because
there was
the broadcast
there was a little bit of misinformation.
Well, JT, the broadcast made it about the K-ball guy, and you were at the press box, so you weren't listening to the broadcast. So so the broadcast had a story. They showed the poor guy wearing the vest with the big red K on it, walking around with a football on his arms. And this guy is supposed to give the football to the ref, and Ross Tucker's basically throwing the dude under the bus. Woof. So there was also conversation about the K-ball guy was there. He's but nothing happened. There was no handover of the K-ball to the ref to insert the K-ball in there. So it was just a disaster from everybody. But if you have, Connor, I agree. The reality, you had way too much time to decide, and they messed it up. It all, again, falls on Brian Callahan for not being decisive enough. So I don't care. The K-ball guy, the ref, the holder, Morgan Cox for not realizing sooner that he didn't have a K-ball. Like somebody did not do their job fast enough, but Brian Callahan created a bad situation for whoever the reason the K-ball was out there or not out there for, right? It still comes back to Callahan.
Yeah, absolutely. The bow on that is you gotta play more. You gotta coach more desperate. You have to play desperate, coach desperate, and that's another thing. We're time is a flat circle, as Buck said. We're back to coach better, play better. Yeah, you got to make a decision faster.
Yeah. Here's the thing. We went an hour and 5 minutes on this topic, and so I don't want to use our second topic, JT, because I don't want to be here for another 45 minutes. So we will save that for maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
We do have a lock in like the show from King VC right there. So lock in like the show. Cam Ward's earlier said A to Z is his favorite. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Cam.
Ka says, Austin, are you changing your tune the faster we leave Sunday behind? Oh yeah. Again, the second topic was going to be about this, but now again, I have to punt that to tomorrow for time's sake. And then Amnesia says 3 different abs can't have the same problems. I don't know what that means.
3 different quarterbacks can't have the same. Maybe, I don't know. Is Q next to A?
Yeah, it is in the keyboard, kind of. So 3 different QBs can't have the same problem. Possibly. That's it. All right. Let's throw some shade here before we do that. JT, tell everybody about our friends at Botero Carts.
Yeah, if you are in the market for looking for something to do in your life that makes not watching the Titans more enjoyable, you got to buy a golf cart, because life is, as the Titans are teaching us right now, life is short. You just got to buy a golf cart. It'll make it so much better. That's why our friends at Botero Carts have you covered. 0% financing for 36 months. Carts starting at $6,700. They're open 7 days a week. Full service sales and rental dealer, locally owned and operated, with 2 locations to serve you in Gallatin and a new location in Columbia, Tennessee. No dealer fee, no credit card fees, so there aren't any hidden fees that are going to come along with your shiny new golf cart, because once again, they are stored indoors for your convenience and also for your satisfaction, because you don't want a dented golf cart. And there's also no credit option if that is needed. Once again, life is short, and the Titans are teaching us that very quickly. So buy a golf cart.
A part of your new car buying process. See them in Lebanon, online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. So we have throwing shade to get to. If you have shade, throw it in the chat. So JT, do you want to see some? Oh, you there? Okay, you skipped for a second, but you're there. All right, so shade time. Shade time. What are you seeing from the chat here on shade? Oh, now I can't hear you. I think your audio went out. Your audio went out whenever your screen circled. Check 1, 2, 3. Now it's doing that again. Nope. No. I don't know. I'll read shade while you get that figured out. Curtis, climate is an econ. What? Oh, yeah. Perfect time to go buy a golf cart for sure. Christopher says shade on Mississippi State cowbells. Yeah. I agree with that overall there. Connor says shade on Chad Brinker. I don't know exactly what he does, but I can tell you I don't like it. We haven't forgotten about you, Brinker. Bet on it. Okay. Jesse's throwing shade to Jeff Rubel for not entertaining the scammer earlier, trying to get them digits. All right. Eric says shade on Jack Gentry. Titans have been absolute dog water since he left. Jack, come back. Let's see if JT's audio can come back. Let's see. Alex says shade on the AFC South for having a trash division. Nick just continuing the former A to Z host shade, throwing shade at Sam. He's no longer with A to Z to hear me brag about his White Sox still owning the most single season losses in MLB history. Amanda, shade at Derrick Henry for fumbling another game away. Derrick Henry has fumbled twice late in games. He's got 3 fumbles this year with the Ravens. Not good look for the King. Demetrius, shade on the so-called Titans fans making threats to Brian Callahan. Easton mentioned that on Twitter, and he is getting heat. Yep, Easton's getting a lot of heat for that. I did see one thing that Easton showed us about that. Like I said, shade on the Ravens throwing the toss sweep to Derrick Henry despite Austin's pleas. Yep, don't do the Derrick Henry toss. It doesn't work. Oh, man. Let's see. Shade JT's audio.
Yeah, audio better. Can you hear me?
Yes, we're back.
Okay. Well, I'm using my computer now, so I don't know what happened, but
I don't either. But I can also hear myself in the background of yours.
yeah, that's so bad. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
How's that? Is that
shade.
better?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can
we're
barely
good.
hear you now, so that's fine.
That's fine. I mean, we're just getting a lot of. I mean, I don't know if that was entertaining or not, as I just was just reading comments as JT was trying to do audio tests. I thought it was funny.
Can you hear me now?
Mike,
Are we good?
Yes, we're good. Mike says Austin buying new windows and his co-host can't afford audio. That's just not how technology works, guys. Like Easton's computer
for a minute and 6 minutes, it was fine. I have no idea what happened.
Yeah, something's going on. You keep going black with a circle, and then you fly. So something's messed up. We'll work on it. You and Easton, I think, have the same problem.
Okay, well, no, you know what that is? That's my internet cutting out. So shade on Xfinity for.
Well, I will say my shade before all this debacle went was that storm last night had me sleeping, had me messed up with my sleeping. That I normally will sleep straight through storms. Normally have no problem with it. But that storm last night was loud. It was bright. It was disruptive. So that's where I was on the show call this morning, JT. My brain was not working. You can throw me under the bus for I could not put a sentence together. I was in struggle mode because that storm threw me for a loop. So that's my shade. But that might be why your internet's kind of going in and out because it was pretty gnarly.
Potentially. Can you see me though? Can the people see me?
Yeah, we can see you. It's like a quick, your screen goes all the way black and there's a little circle, just for a snap of a finger. And then it comes back and that's when your audio went
Jeff
out.
says shade on JT for having Xfinity internet. Yes, that's probably fair.
I have it too.
I pay too much to have bad internet. So
I say the same thing. I pay too much for my TV system and internet to not work properly.
Yeah, I think is there a better alternative?
No.
Shade at all internet companies that we pay way too much to have now basically a necessity.
Well, and I don't know about you, but you're 10 years younger than I am, so you probably I still have a cable box.
Me too.
Okay, you do? All right. So yeah, I still have Xfinity television in my office because if the internet, all the other TVs are internet based, right? But if something happens, I need to watch a game, then I got this cable box as a backup. But I'm paying a lot of money for that, but I got to have it because I can't be just TV-less during the football season when I've got to do that for work.
Yeah, Demetrius says, I have a love-hate relationship with Xfinity. This is true. Propaganda that they're shade on Xfinity because of the propaganda that they're with their new ads or whatever. They're not booming. This is fake news. This is propaganda.
Missed the first half of the Georgia game, Tennessee game because of Xfinity. That makes no sense.
Well, maybe he's got YouTube TV or something and relying on internet and his internet's out.
Jesse says Buck never has internet issues. No. Buck has internet issues all the time. Buck did not have a primetime show last week because his entire neighborhood was without internet and cable the whole day. So he didn't have a show. So Jesse, no, Buck's got internet problems.
Yeah. I do have another quick shade. Although that one, I guess that's an easy layup for me since it didn't end up happening. Just pay your bill. Brother, I pay my bill and more sometimes, it feels like, with Xfinity. My shade, which this is becoming, and tell me if you can't hear me because I'm now, oh, Jesus.
There's your alarm. I guess we're
my
late,
alarm.
Right?
Yeah, that's my alarm to put the show up on Spotify and Apple and all platforms. So, my shade, and this is one that I use a lot. I seemingly talk about rec league softball a lot for my shade, which sometimes it's Easton and that's really fun. Sometimes it is just the fact that my rec league softball league is just like would be perfect for a TV drama like series. Here's the shade that we learned apparently last night, that somebody for rec league softball has been selling like illegal softballs on like a black market in the Nashville rec league softball community, as in like the balls have to be a certain like size and like weight and like condition, but people are now taking smaller balls which have like a lighter core that make them go farther and purposely like branding them as the correct type. So people are playing with illegal balls. And apparently that's a huge thing. Like there was like the people I play with have in the league I play with have cracked down on this illegal ball seller who has been selling them out of the back of his truck.
That's so funny. Is the truck white? Does the truck also sell audio equipment and speakers?
Maybe. I don't know, but
I hope somebody watching gets that because somebody will. I'm not going to explain it.
All right. And Mike says, why are you knocking? My hustle is, or why am I knocking your hustle? My shade is not on that fact. That's just hilarious. My shade is on someone taking rec league softball that seriously.
Yeah.
Like apparently it's not like in our league, but like it's in the men's league that also plays on Monday nights and Thursday nights in our specific organization. Like apparently shade on the people who take rec league softball so seriously that they are selling illegal balls so that they can like hit the gym, bro. I get that a lot of the people playing are probably like in their 40s and like mid 40s, and they just want to feel good about themselves because that's all they have. All they have is to come out to the field and they want to hit bombs. And so the only way they can, because they don't want to hit the gym, they don't want to, get their strength up, keep their strength up is get lighter balls. Like, dude, it's rec league softball. What are we doing?
Good. That's so funny. I mean,
it's good. Yeah.
What's next? Spinning the bats, right? Again, you have pine tar issues there going on. Like what?
Well,
Crazy.
Also apparently, like, so this was also the drama gets even worse because apparently that was an email that was sent out to every team across all leagues. Our team did not get that email. Like I used to be the coach, and so I was on their email list. We have a new coach because I just couldn't deal with having to manage all that anymore. He didn't get
play calling duties.
I did. I gave up the play calling duties in my.
That's respectful. That's a respectful decision.
Jesse says JT is the catcher for his rec league team. No, I am center field, left field, and third baseman. Thank you.
All at the same time?
No, but I play a lot of it where we need. So, but so we didn't get that email, so we were none the wiser. And I've been using the same balls every time we lose them. I buy the same ones from off Amazon. We've been playing for over 3.5-4 years at this point. We use the same balls. They've always been fine. And apparently, like, we didn't get this message, and they didn't have the specific stamp that now all teams have to have, right? Like, there's a stamp that they have to have, and so if your ball doesn't have that, you're not allowed to use it. And so we go into this game, and halfway through, the other team essentially goes to the ref and says they don't have the right balls, so we have to forfeit this game. They're not allowed to play anymore. And I said, that is the lamest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, they tried to get us to call the game because we didn't have the correct ball. And like, there's nothing we could have done, but like, it's a drama show. It's a dramedy every single week. And I love throwing shade at it because something insane seems to pop up every single week.
That is wild. Yeah, for those of you that did not get the white truck and the audio equipment, Zach Bingham got scammed one time by buying audio equipment from a guy in a white truck at a park.
Did he really?
Yeah. Yes. So blast from the past. That was a shade probably in like 2018 or something.
That's awesome.
All right, guys. That is it for us on this Tuesday. Make sure you hit that like button, like the show, subscribe to the channel, 5-star Google reviews, all that help us out quite a bit. So many things to get to. Easton live tonight for prime time at 7. And then we'll be back tomorrow for our Wednesday show. We have topics lined up, ready to pick them apart. Calvin Ridley can't catch the ball, the O-line, Cam Ward sack problems, Brian Callahan's job security, all of these things to come. Pros and cons of firing him in season. So many different things we've got lined up. So make sure you hit that like button. We'll catch you guys later on. Appreciate it as always.